Suns fans everywhere are starting to realize that due to the lack of contractual wiggle room, the lack of financial wiggle room that the Suns have put themselves in, Matt Ishbia, that whether or not you like it, and a lot of you like it, Yusuf Nurkic is probably looking at a 50% chance of returning. Sundo, you pointed out to me that it's the best way to get out of that second apron. And at the 22nd pick, there is a really good option we want to tell y'all about from Duke. Sundo, he's fundamentally strong, makes crisp bounce passes and chest passes. He's got a nice jumper. He's got a strong basketball IQ. He's a fan favorite.
Hey, just say he's white. Just say he's white, man. For the love of God, just say he's white.
Well, he is white, and his name is Kyle Filipkowski.
Yeah, Kyle Filipkowski out of Duke. They say he's 7 foot, but I mean, his measurements came out without shoes, 6'10" 3/4, his standing reach at 8 feet 11 inches, weighed in at 229 pounds. We can just round that up to 230 because it's 229.8. So 230. For the wingspan of 6'10.5", hand length of 8 inches and 3/4, and then a hand width of 9.5 inches. One thing that I've noticed that his wingspan is not longer than his height. It's literally a 1 quarter, Gabe. 1 quarter shorter than his entire height. That's something I'm not the biggest fan of, but I'm willing to look past based on the skills that he's shown.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Love what I see on the court for the most part, but you're looking at a 22nd overall picked player. And for that, I think it's great value. And I ain't talking like Walmart's signature. Back to his height. I'm fine with considering him a 7-footer, considering that he's going to be playing in shoes. And I'm sure with shoes on, he's 7 foot. That is the threshold I'd like to cross or be on for my center. I want him to be at least 7 foot. Doesn't have to be. Bam's 6'9" for reference. Everybody loves Bam. But I would say one of the more exciting things about this kid's game, really nice post moves and touch around the rim, which compared to Yusuf Nurkic, and I'm sure this will likely get me blocked on Twitter, would be like a fresh glass bottle of Voss water while walking in the desert, compared to the meme that everyone shows about Nurkic bricking point blank layups over and over and over after getting rebounds.
Yeah, when it comes to his inside game, I watched a few of his games during the tournament. We watched the tape. His inside game seems pretty solid. I like his turnaround jumpers. I like his use of pump fakes and head fakes to get to where he needs to go. And as you mentioned, the touch around the rim is and I mean, even at his young age, way better than Yusuf Nurkic. And that's going to be a breath of fresh air when you see that. My thing is I don't know how quickly that will translate to the league. He will be playing people heavier than him at times. He's going to have to really work on that and polish that and perfect that for that to translate immediately, which we're hoping that he does, right? I know he's going to be a later first round pick if we do get him, but you are hoping that he does at some point this season develop and sort of step ahead of Drew Eubanks in the rotation if we do get him. And I think him developing an inside game quickly will help that a lot. Another thing that I do like about him is the pick and roll game. He can pop. You mentioned that he did shoot a lot. That shooting form, I have confidence in more so than Yusuf Nurkic, way more so than Drew Eubanks. Like, we can talk about that for sure. Like, out of the two bigs that we have, you trust him to pop and hit. And as we know, what is Mike Budenholzer like? He likes it when his bigs can shoot the three and have that threat. When you have that, it spaces the floor. I think a lot of times in the pick and roll with Nurkic, with Booker, with Beal and Durant, that threat wasn't there. They knew they could collapse on it. And that took away a lot of options. I think with a player like Kyle Filipkowski, that changes things with his ability to shoot. It just gives me confidence in those situations. As far as him having the ball at the top of the key, this is where I like him similar to Nurk, because we do trust Nurk to make the correct passes at the top of the key in the pick and roll, or if he happens to have it. We trust Nurk. We love Nurk's passing ability. I see his passing ability as similar. He is a very heady player. Not only that, he's real nimble on his feet for a big man. So I would trust him to be able to take the ball to the rack as well, more so than a Yusuf Nurkic or Drew Eubanks, for sure.
Like you said, Mike Budenholzer likes that type of center. Even had we kept Frank, I've felt like it is so important to get a center on the roster, new starter, backup, whatever, that can shoot from more than 4 feet away from the rim. Because the Suns' big three and their shooters, all with air quotes, considering we got embarrassed, I feel like their spacing was off when they weren't small. Because when Nurk or Eubanks are on the court, the other team knows they don't actually have to guard them from anywhere near the perimeter. So that makes it easier to double team Book, double team Kevin Durant or Beal, and just say, look, if Yusuf Nurkic is going to hit enough threes to beat us, I mean, you see where I'm going with this? It's obvious that's not going to happen. Now, I'm not saying Kyle Filipkowski is going to be out here hitting 4+ threes a game. Being able to show the defense, hey, if you leave this fan favorite, he will make you pay for it. I really think that is one of a few tweaks that this team needs to transform themselves into something different, into the beast that they were supposed to be on offense. Now, if you want to look at this guy's ceiling, it's actually pretty tantalizing. His handles have no business being this good. His ability to get to the rack and spin and fade and lean and still hit shots has no business being that good. He reminds me of a young Lauri Markkanen and or Franz Wagner or the other Wagner brother whose name escapes me, Mo. To get that at 22 and to replace or have a backup for Nurk, who is basically running around with bricks in his shoes. I don't really know if he could jump over his own cell phone to dunk the ball. Nothing he does is fast or quick twitch. It's just such a compliment, man, or a good thing to replace with.
Now, Gabe, let's get into a little bit of cons here. First con, at least offensively, which is not really a con when it comes to the context of this team, but his ability to create when he doesn't get the ball in structure. So there's a few plays you'll see where he'll set the pick, he'll pop. If he doesn't pop, he'll cut to the opposite block. He'll get the ball there in the Duke offense, and then he'll be able to operate. You see when that doesn't happen, when he doesn't get to his spots, if the offense doesn't go the way it should, his ability to create is very lacking. Now, in our offense, that's not going to be what we count on him to do if he's there. Obviously, we have a Durant, we have a Booker and a Beal, so like we're not going to depend on him to make something out of nothing. So there's that. But there's just also that to look at, that when things don't go right or they're out of structure, he does have a hard time making something out of nothing. He'll probably have to pass out a lot, and defenses can key in on that in certain aspects of the game, where if he doesn't get the ball in a spot, he may just look to kick out. They may be able to look out for that, get the ball, stay in the passing lanes whatsoever. Another con that we see is going to be on defense. I don't think his shot blocking ability in college is going to translate to the NBA. One, the wingspan, and two, it's the NBA. It's easy for him to be an anchor on defense in college when you're the only 7-footer. Everybody else on the other teams are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". Maybe some of the bigger bigs you'll see will be 6'9", right? It's really easy for that to happen. That's definitely not going to translate to the NBA immediately. Everybody's going to be just as big, just as fast, faster in all sense. So I think he can develop to be a defensive anchor. Sure, not expected. I don't think that that's going to carry over, especially with that wingspan.
And at roughly 230, he's going to have to get bigger. You see him get bullied on defense by bigger players sometimes. That's one thing that's nice about Nurk. He can really stand his ground. Hashtag McCloskey's. But that's not all the worst case scenario if, considering he isn't a true 7-footer and has the skill set of a 4, he could play the 4. He's got everything he needs to play the 4. And you'll notice in some of these highlights, he plays really good with a bigger guy out there where he's not having to do that dirty work, and you can just get the benefits of his shooting and movement at the 4. Hey, what do the Suns really not have, man? A 4 outside of Kevin Durant, who both of us would really prefer to see him at the 3. So that's another sneaky good part of drafting him, is you get a player that could fill 2 different roles. And then my other question is, because he's so fast for his size, can and will his speed make up for his lack of length and standing reach? I don't know. Can he get to the spots quicker, anticipate, and get there? That's the blocks that he did. The blocks he did in college looked like it was anticipation, which is how I would also describe Nurk, because Nurk ain't jumping that high, but he gets some blocks. It's just good IQ, knowing what the guy you're defending is likely to do. Maybe he can help protect the rim in that way. If you keep Nurk and you have Flip backing him up, I think that would be a really good center for him to practice and face every day, forcing him to get stronger and learn how to work against big NBA players.
To your point about the weight, yeah, I do feel like that will be an issue. He will get pushed around a little bit in the NBA, depending on who we play. If we play, a Timberwolves, he'll get pushed around. You play a big like Valanciunas or Anthony Davis, he's definitely going to get pushed around, right? But like you said, I do like the idea of him playing stretch 4 or playing him and Nurk with the Twin Towers, kind of how we wanted them to do with Bol Bol. Imagine a world where we re-sign Bol Bol, bring him back on another minimum, and we have both of these 2 threats on the court at the same time. That's really going to stretch the floor out. Not to mention, if you do play him at the 5 and then you just pick and pop, you're going to force their bigs out of the paint, and that opens it up for you. So there's a lot of ways to use him. He's really going to be a Swiss Army knife in those 2 spots. In the 5 and the 4, you just pick your poison. You can play him and develop him in really a lot of different roles. And I think that's what Mike Budenholzer will want for sure. I think at 22, it would be a steal if he does drop to 22. There are some mocks that have him coming to us. There are some mocks that have him going to Toronto and teams like that. So we'll just have to wait and see. But if we were to get this guy at 22, I think it would be a great value and a steal pick for us, at least in the situations that we are, not having another first for however long or seconds or whatnot. And so, yeah, we get a player like this. I think that would go great for the Suns' future as far as developing a big and having a big to play with a Durant or a Booker or a Beal for the next 3 years.
I think I speak for the both of us when I say that if the Suns are trying to execute the Bronny/Braun plan, and this is one of the guys that's available, he's going to be one of the guys that makes you really think twice about going through with the other plan. Tell us what you guys think, and let us know in the comments, which other players would you like us to cover with the draft nearly a month away?